or fiqh of business transactions or dealings. Fiqh of dealings, al-mu'amalat. This is the second section, the next 25% of fiqh. Okay? Clear? Any questions so far?
First one is 25%. Like you said, this is the next 25%.
No, 25% in terms of division.
Yeah.
Okay? In terms of how much topic it covers, it's different. These two sections, by the way, they cover almost 80% of fiqh. The last two sections are the smallest sections, but in terms of division, it's 25% because it's 4 sections. Clear? This third section is rulings pertaining to marriage, divorce, child custody, and issues related to this. This is called fiqh an-nikah wa talaq. Alright, fiqh of marriage and divorce. Marriage and divorce. Okay. Then finally, the last section is called Fiqh of Jinayat. And this deals with rulings related to the penal code, meaning criminal law and Islamic books of fiqh, adjudication, which is basically a qadi or a judge. He judges between two people, okay? The person who's claiming a right and the person who is defending himself. Testimony and witness, shahadat, and oaths. And sometimes the scholars of fiqh, they place rulings related to food and drink and hunting in the last section. Fiqh of jinayat. Fiqh of jinayat and qada. Jinayat is basically penal law, and qada is how do you translate qada? Anyone? Qada is no, this is not prayer. Judiciary. Very good. Ahsant. Very good. Clear? These are the 4 major sections of fiqh discussed. And books of fiqh, they mostly deal with the first 2. Okay? Most of the related dealings are with the first 2. And out of the first 2, which one do you think is the bulk? The first one. Ibadat. Alright? The question here, why do the fuqaha, who are fuqaha? Scholars who are well versed in the science of fiqh. Very good. Why do the fuqaha, they start with the ibadat first? What do you think? Why do the scholars of fiqh, they deal with the topic of acts of worship before they jump into dealings or marriage and divorce or, judiciary and these things? Why? Very good. Because it's a connection with Allah and it's a connection to the akhirah. So even something, subhanAllah, that they deal in terms of law, right? Something that's, to many people, it's dry. It's a dry subject. It's a dry subject. Right? It's a dry subject to many people. But still, they try to make a connection with it, with the akhirah, by starting off with this topic first. Because it pertains to your own akhirah. This is the ultimate end for all of us. We're going to the akhirah. And this dunya is only temporary. It's only ephemeral. Tayyib. Okay, so quick quiz. From what you've studied or what we've gone over right now, I want you to place the following scenarios in their proper section in fiqh. Zakah is obligatory on gold once it reaches a specific amount. What section of fiqh out of the 4 sections? Mu'amalat? Ibadat. Why mu'amalat? Ibadat. Good. Fiqh of ibadat. Alright, worship. The second one, a person forgets how many raka'at or how many units he's prayed while he's praying. Ibadat. Just say it out loud. No. A condition for the validity of a leasing contract is one knows the price involved in the contract. Mu'amalat. Very good. Okay. Fiqh mu'amalat or dealing. For example, a man says to his wife, go back to your family, and he intends to divorce her through this statement. Nikah wa talaq. Alright. Fiqh that deals with nikah wa talaq. Alright. So now do you see the understanding between the two words? Fiqh that deals with nikah and talaq. Deep understanding of the issues of nikah and talaq. Right? A judge rules between 2 litigants over a land ownership dispute. Come on, raise your voice. Huh? Fiqh al-qada. Which one? The fourth one. Very good. I know it's penal law and judiciary. Okay. It is called sorry, it's not written clearly. Yeah, it's in Arabic. It is called jinayat. Why do I keep writing? By the way, in this course you will have to learn a little bit of Arabic if you do not already know it. But I'll try to transliterate the words. Okay? Fiqh of jinayat and tayyib. Next section is the chapters in the fiqh of worship. Okay? There are 5. Now, we narrowed it down. First we talked about fiqh generally. We talked about it has 4 sections. Okay? Now we're just talking about the first section. And once we start from the first section, we're going to narrow it down even more. Okay? In the first section, there are 5 main chapters. There is the chapter of purification. There is the chapter of prayer. There is the chapter of zakah. There is the chapter of fasting. And finally, the chapter that deals with pilgrimage. These are the 5 main chapters that deal with fiqh of ibadat. Okay? The reason the scholars of fiqh, they go in this order, I know it's backward because these slides were translated from Arabic to English, so it's going this way when I know it should go this way. So purification is supposed to be purification, prayer, fasting, zakah, fasting and pilgrimage. Then my question to you is, why do the scholars of fiqh go in this order of purification, prayer, zakah, fasting and pilgrimage? Is there a reason they go for this order? Everything is done with some wisdom or some purposeful intent. It's not done without just haphazardly without any intent.
I think it's enablers of you've got to be pure to be able to pray, and once you pray, so that's going to builds up.
So what's the
makes you stronger?
Frequency? The frequency of fasting and zakah is the same.
I don't think he's saying priority, maybe.
It starts with purification, and then prayer, and then it goes.
Okay.
Is it the order in which they...
The reason they do this order is because they base it on a specific hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Okay? The hadith is that hadith of Ibn Umar regarding the arkan of Islam. Okay? In which he said, Bunya al-Islamu ala khams. In which the Prophet ﷺ, in another riwayah, that he said, Inna al-Islama bunya ala khams. Islam is built upon 5 pillars. The first pillar he mentioned, shahadat wa la ilaha illallah, to testify that there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a matter of faith. Alright? Shahadat wa la ilaha illallah. Alright? So does it come into the science of fiqh? Are we going to deal with the rulings related to shahadat wa la ilaha illallah? No, we will not. Right? Because why? Again, why? Go back to the definition of fiqh. Fiqh is what? Deep understanding of, that's linguistically, but science of fiqh, what is fiqh? Huh? It is rulings that pertain to the actions of human beings. Shahadatu an la ilaha illallah, does it come into an action or a matter of belief? It's a matter of belief. So the scholars, the fiqh, they don't deal with this. Right? And then the Prophet ﷺ said after Shahadatu an la ilaha illallah, iqam as-salah, to establish the prayer. Wa ita iz-zakah, wa sawmi Ramadan, wa hajj al-bayt. This is the order. So why did they put purification before prayer then, when it's not mentioned in the hadith? Huh? Say.
It's a necessary step before prayer.
Excellent. Very good. It is a condition to prayer. You cannot have prayer without purification. The Prophet ﷺ said that whoever does not do wudu, there is no prayer for him. Okay? And Shaykh Abdullah, he will cover this inside of his class. Are you guys understanding? Is it clear? Okay. Next part. So this is one reason the sister mentioned, because purification is a prerequisite to prayer, and prayer is the first thing that this servant will be judged about on the Day of Judgment. Can someone give me another reason why scholars they begin with purification before they begin with prayer? We'll get into purification. We have 1.5 hours. Don't worry. Any other reason that comes to your mind why scholars begin with purification before prayer when it's not mentioned in the hadith? Okay, it's related to it. Yes, very good. Because لأن التخلية, right, تكون قبل التحلية. This is why they say, because purification is a way of cleansing yourself. And you cleanse yourself before you adorn yourself with an act of worship. Is it clear? An act of worship is a good deed that you do, right? It's something that you beautify yourself in terms of the akhirah with good deeds. But purification, inner and outer, comes before cleaning. Like if someone were to, let me give you an example. If someone were to put a cologne on and his clothes are dirty, what would happen? It would probably make the situation worse, make him smell worse, right? So he purifies his clothes first, he washes himself first, and then he puts cologne on. So the cologne has proper effect on the person, right? Is it clear? لأن التخلية تكون قبل التحلية. Is it clear? طيب. Quickly, what are the 5 chapters of worship? Purification, Salah, Zakah, Sawm, and Hajj. Ahsantum, very good. And the sister mentioned that the condition of prayer is purification. Okay? All these conditions of the one praying, all of this Abdullah will go over with you. Okay? This is for that chapter, but the reason I brought this slide is just to show you that the condition of prayer is purification. This is why the fuqaha, they mention purification before they mention prayer. Okay? Purification. What is purification? Okay. When the scholars, they start with the book of Fiqh, all right? They start off with the concept of purification. The word purification linguistically means an-nadhafa. Okay? To cleanse yourself. Cleanse yourself. Okay? وَالنَّظَافَةِ مِنَ الْأَقْذَارِ الْحِسِّيَّةِ أَوْ مَعْنَوِيَّةِ. Okay? So, purification is from 2 types. Okay? One's inner state and one's outer state. And one's outer state. Inner state is one's purification from sins and disobedience to Allah. Okay? This is purification of one's inner state. And this is called ma'nawiyah. Okay? Meaning figurative. It's not the literal purification that the scholars are referring to in the books of fiqh. But it's important to discuss because people, many times they'll neglect this. Right? They don't realize there are two types of purification. One is purifying your heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says regarding the person who purifies himself, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. On the day of judgment, he will be successful. The person who purified himself went through tazkiyah. وَقَدْ خَابَ. He's lost himself. All right? He's destroyed himself. مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. Dassa means to bury something. It's as if he's buried his soul under sins and under disobedience. So this is inner purification. Right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in the Quran, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ. On the day of judgment, no one will be able to ransom himself from the punishment because of his disobedience with his children, nor with his wealth. إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. On that day of judgment, the way to save yourself is to come with a pure and clean heart. This is inner purification. Okay? And Muhammad ibn Sirin, he said that Al-Qalbu Salim, he did tafsir of this ayah, هُوَ أَنْ يَعْرِفْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ حَقٌّ, is to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the truth, meaning to believe in Him. Alright? وَأَنَّ السَّاعَةَ آتِيَةٌ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهَا, and to know that the Sa'ah, or the day of judgment, is coming, and we're going to be held accountable for our actions on the day of judgment. وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ يَبْعَثُ مَنْ فِي الْقُبُورِ, and Allah will resurrect the people in their graves. Meaning to believe in the accountability. Clear? This is tahara ma'nawiyah. But this is not the topic of this dawrah. The reason I touched upon it is because it's important to know the difference between the two. And then tahara al-hissiyah is the second one. Alright, so this was ma'nawiyah, or you could say figurative. And this is al-hissiyah, or you could say, I don't know, literal. It's not tangible because there are aqsam, or there are sections that come underneath it. Right? Hadath is not tangible. Okay? Clear? Any questions so far? Ask questions. I'm not worried about finishing. Alright? I want you to understand. I'm not worried about meeting the time exactly, finishing early, finishing late. Doesn't matter to me any of this, right? What matters is that you understand.
At the risk of digressing, could you give us an example of the tahara ma'nawiyah before we move forward?
At-tawbah. Yeah. And an example of tahara ma'nawiyah, purification of one sin, is to repent to Allah. Do tawbah, do istighfar. Inna al-hasanati yudhibna sayyi'at. Another example is to do good deeds. They will No, okay, so this tahara is at all times. Tahara of one state is all times. Alright? It is your inner connection with Allah. Alright? This is at certain times. And only certain conditions. So this is a difference. Very good for pointing this out. This is a difference between the two. Fahim? Understand? Ishkal? Okay. What is the difference between the two? We went over this. The brother, mashallah, pointed it out. Allah bless him. The first condition of prayer is purification of one outer state. Now we'll talk about tahara al-hissiyah. Okay? This is of two types. Number 1 and number 2. Tahara min al-hadath. And tahara min al-khabath. الطهارة من الحدث والطهارة من الخبث. I'll explain what these two terms mean now, inshallah. Hadath It's important to understand this concept because the concept of wudu and ghusl relates to it. And we're going to, in the next class, inshallah, we will go over wudu in detail. How to do it, what are the furud of wudu, what are the arkan, what are the sunan, when does it become wajib on a person to do wudu, when is it mustahab, recommended, all these things. Okay? Hadath and khabath. Tayyib. Hadath is a state of being that prevents one from performing certain acts of worship. It's a spiritual state of being. You cannot see hadath. You cannot touch hadath. Hadath cannot be perceived by one of the five senses. Okay? So I want to draw an analogy. Anger. Can you see anger itself? You cannot see anger itself, right? Can you touch anger? Can you feel anger? Can you smell anger? No, you cannot smell. You can see. Similarly, hadath, you cannot see, you cannot touch, you cannot perceive it by your five senses. However, hadath differs from anger in the sense that anger, you can see the effects of it on a person. Hadath, you cannot even see the effects of it. Okay? Why? Because hadath is a spiritual state of being. Clear? Any questions? I want you to ask questions if you don't understand. Tayyib. Khabath is a tangible impurity that you can perceive by your five senses. For example, urine. You can see it. Smell, touch, blood. Tangible impurities. Clear? Any questions? Tayyib. Now I want to give you a few other differences between hadath and khabath so that these two concepts will become clear. Because it's important to understand them for later. Number one, I mentioned hadath is what is it? Is a spiritual state of being. Okay? And khabath is a amrun mahsus. You can touch it. You can perceive it by the five senses. This is the first difference between, there are five differences, right? These five differences. This is the first difference between the two. The second difference between the two is that to remove hadath, you need an intention. To remove khabath, you do not need an intention. رفع الحدث يحتاج إلى نية معينة. وَرَفْعُ الْخَبَثِ لَا يَحْتَاجُ إِلَى نِيَّةٍ. Clear? The third difference hadath requires an intention. Removing hadath requires an intention. Removing khabath does not require a specific intention. The first difference is one is a state of being, and the second, you already explained. The second one is a amr mushahid. It's something that you can see or touch or perceive with your five senses. Now for the third difference, I have to go into a little bit more detail with khabath. Okay? Khabath is of two types now. Khabath is either something that is najis, impure, or something that is mutanajjis. Okay? Mutanajjis. What is the difference between the two? Okay? Najis is something that is impure, that is defined by the Sharia. The Sharia tells you, for example, urine is najis, it's impure. Okay? The Sharia tells you that blood is impure. The Sharia tells you that certain other feces, for example, is impure. How do we know something is impure? The Quran or the Hadith, they tell us. Okay? Or it's a derivation of scholars' understanding of that from the Quran and Hadith. And something that is najis. Something that is mutanajjis is a place where something najis has fell on. Okay? You see the difference between the two? Something najis is the object or essence itself, and something mutanajjis is a place or something where something najis has fell upon. Clear? Ishkal? Does anyone have an issue? Does not understand? The difference between the two. The difference between the two is important to understand. Something najis can never be purified. Something mutanajjis can be purified. Okay? Mutanajjis, for example, if a person has a drop of blood on his thawb, on his shirt, he can purify this. But you cannot purify the blood itself. Okay? Clear? Going back to the difference between hadath and khabath. That was a small tangent. Hadath, this is the third difference between hadath and khabath. Hadath is removed through wudu or ghusl. Why? Because hadath is a spiritual state of being, and wudu and ghusl are acts of worship. Are you starting to see the connections now? Hadath is a spiritual state of being. Right? It says right here. Hadath is a spiritual state of being. And how do you remove this spiritual state of being? By doing an act of worship, which is wudu or ghusl. Are you understanding, brother? In the back? Hadath is a spiritual state of being. How do you remove this spiritual state of being? By doing a certain act of worship that is called wudu or ghusl. This is how you remove this state of being.
Okay.
Is it clear?
No, I was thinking that could be linked to the ma'na, which is
No, forget ma'nawi. Ma'nawi is gone. Alright. Ma'nawi was in the past. This is only, remember, this is tahara. What type of tahara? This is all under? Hissiyya. This is why I didn't translate as tangible, because hadath you cannot translate as tangible. It's not something you can see, or it's not amr mushahad, right? Khabath is removed by cleaning khabath from mutanajjis, right? Not najis. Remember, I told you najis cannot be purified. Khabath from mutanajjis is removed by cleaning the place with water, and only water. Do you see the difference between the two? This is the third difference between hadath and khabath. Ubayd, are you understanding? MashaAllah. Clear? Any question? Please ask questions.
Only water?
Just write only water as of now. There are differences. I don't want to get into differences in the beginning because it's important to clarify concepts before you start getting into differences of scholars. Okay? And also, I don't know if the brothers announced this, but this fiqh I'm teaching you is on a specific madhab. Alright? It's on the madhab of Imam Ahmad. Okay, this is what we were taught. I graduated, alhamdulillah, from Medina. This is what I was taught over there. Okay, we were taught actually all four madhahib in the school. All right, Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi'i, all of them. But as a student, if you want to build yourself, it's best to start off on one track, and then you can go to wherever you want. It's not a problem. All right? But if you start off with khilafat, if you start off with differences, you'll not be able to, and we've seen this in Medina. Some students, they weren't able to master anything because they started off with too many differences in the beginning. Okay? Even though this is the madhab of Imam Ahmad, I will mention to you certain aqwal from time to time of other ulama, of other scholars. Okay? So I want to make it a little bit of comparative fiqh. I don't want to just stick to one madhab. Is a third difference clear? Can you tell me the third difference?
You remove it by doing either wudu or ghusl.
Which are?
Which are an act of worship.
Very good. And khabath, how do you remove?
But only the najis.
Ahsant.
Remove with water.
Ahsant. You can remove it. Can najis, brother, can najis be removed? Can najis be purified? No, it cannot be. Very good. Ahsant. The fourth difference. Removing hadath has a replacement besides water. Okay? Can I erase this? Actually, let me not erase it right now. I might need this. Removing hadath has a replacement. If you don't have water, you can use dirt. And that is called tayammum. Removing khabath has no replacement. You can only use water. You cannot use dirt to remove it. For example, if you have blood on the table, you can't bring dirt and wipe it like this. Okay? The fifth difference and the last difference before we go on to the next slide is that الأحداث لا تفاوت بينهما ولا ترتيب. What that means is that how you enter the state of hadath, it can be entered through multiple ways. Going to the bathroom, bleeding profusely, right? Becoming unconscious, vomiting. All of these, they lead to one goal, and that is entering the state of hadath. Okay, they're all the same. They all go to one end goal. Whereas khabath, some impurities are worse than others. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا وَلَغَ الْكَلْبُ فِي إِنَاءِ أَحَدِكُمْ فَلْيَغْسِلْهُ سَبْعًا إِحْدَاهُنَّ بِالتُّرَابِ. If a dog, it licks a utensil you have, meaning it puts its tongue inside of a utensil, wash it 7 times. One of these times, wash it with dirt or clean it with dirt. So the scholars derive from this that the Prophet ﷺ told us to wash the saliva of a dog. Why did he tell us to wash it? It must be najis. That's why he told us to wash it. Right? So the saliva of a dog is najis. And this najasa or this impurity is so severe in the sense that the Prophet ﷺ told us to wash it 7 times. And one of those times should be with dirt. Whereas he did not tell us the same thing in terms of urine. He said you can wash it with water. So khabath, it differs in terms of how severe the impurity is. Clear? واضح؟ في إشكال? Please raise your hand and ask questions. Can someone from the sister's side give me 2 differences between hadath and khabath? 2 differences? Anyone from the sister's side? 1 difference. Very good. Very good. Ahsanti. Another difference, please. Another difference. It can be any one of these 5 differences. I just want to test your understanding and make sure that you understood. Very good. To remove hadath, you need an intention. To remove khabath, you do not need an intention. Okay? 2 differences from the guy's side. just
First one you said.
okay, good. ما في إشكال. It's okay. طيب, another one.
Hadath has an alternative way. So tayammum.
She already said that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. طيب, Ubaid. 3 have been mentioned, 2 are left. Mention the last point I said.
The difference between hadath and khabath would be that anything that leads to the purification of hadath is of the same level,
Okay.
whereas there's different levels of purity in terms of
Very good. Ahsant. طيب, another difference. Brother's side. Brother, can you give me a difference? Any difference that has not been mentioned. There's 2 left, I think.
Wudu inclusive from hadath.
Huh?
How does water hadath you remove wudu?
Okay, very good. Yes. Very good. Khalas. Is it clear?
I have a question. So is
Yeah.
there a relationship between the two that because of khabath you enter into a state of hadath?
Not always, but sometimes, yes. Because of khabath, you can enter into hadith. Okay, but not always. That's good, you're making connections. Tayyib. Is it clear? Any questions? All right, next slide, inshallah. What are the difference between the 2 types? I mentioned 5 differences. Okay. Purification of hadith has 4 components to it. Okay, this is hadith. It has 4 components to it. I'm not going to write it all out because they're all written on the slide. All right, you can just copy from there. Okay, the purification, this is purification from hadith, has 4 components to it. The first component is the one who is purifying himself from hadith. He has to have certain conditions. He has to meet certain conditions. If he does not meet these conditions, he cannot purify himself from hadith. Okay? In fact, hadith does not even apply to him. Hadith does not apply to him. The first is that he has to be a Muslim. Meaning only a Muslim can purify and enter the state of hadith. It does not apply to a non-Muslim. Okay? Once you go through the entire slide, all of it will click. Okay? So, but we'll go by one, okay? The second is that he has to be of sane mind. Okay? He has to be aqil. That's how they say in Arabic. He has to be he has to have sanity. All right? He cannot be someone that's insane, lost his consciousness. Okay? For example, a sleeping person cannot remove hadith. An unconscious person cannot remove hadith. All right? A majnoon, a person who's absolutely, crazy, is not in his proper rational mind, he cannot remove hadith. Okay? So I'll mention to you, for example, the condition, and then the things that are the scenarios that are exempted from this condition. So the one that's exempted from Muslim is who? Non-Muslim. The one that's exempted from sane is who? Non-sane. Very good. Okay. So someone who's not in his rational mind, someone who's unconscious, all of these. The third condition is he has to be at the age of discernment. This is what the fuqaha, who are fuqaha? Who are fuqaha? Scholars who are well versed in the science of fiqh. Okay? This is what the fuqaha say, that this age comes at the age of 7. Okay, so you might want to make that note. Age of discernment is the age of 7, according to the fuqaha. That's different. Okay. Age of discernment is different from bulugh or baligh. Very good point. Age of discernment is different from baligh. Okay, baligh is the age of puberty. That is attained or that is achieved through certain things. Age of discernment is fixed according to the madhab of Imam Ahmad, and that is the age of 7 years. The reason they say this, the reason they picked 7, can anyone try to guess? Why did they pick 7 years of age? Very good. Ahsanti. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, Murru abna'akum bis-salah. Command your children to pray at the age of 7. So the fuqaha said, why would the Prophet ﷺ choose the age of 7? Because generally, and ahkam or rulings in the sharia are built upon general cases. They're not built upon exceptional cases. We establish a general ruling first, and then we make exceptions to the ruling. Okay? So it said because generally, this is when a child can have some understanding of what salah is because he's seen his parents pray for 7 years of his life. Right? And the parent is a good example. He's praying in front of his children, so the children says, okay, this must be something important in my life. The Prophet ﷺ said, Murru abna'akum bis-salah. Command your children to pray at the age of 7. The fourth condition is that he must have an intention. He must have an intention. Okay? To remove the state of hadith, purification from hadith requires an intention. You cannot do it without an intention. Wadih? Clear? The material used to purify yourself from hadith. I told you that the asl or the default is that it is water. And then the replacement to water is dirt when there's no water. Very good. Clear? Does anyone have any questions? Ishkalat? Ishkalat meaning difficulty understanding. The types of purification from hadith is of 2 types. Number 1, it is minor, which is wudu, and number 2, it is major, which is ghusl. So how do you purify yourself from hadith? Either you do it through wudu or you do it through ghusl. When do you use each? We will get to that. Okay? And then finally, the state of hadith that one purifies himself from is of 2 types. Either it is minor or it is major. Okay? A minor state of hadith, what will you use for it? Wudu. Very good. Alright? For a major state of hadith, what will you use for it? Ghusl. If a kafir does ghusl, has he removed the major state of hadith? No. Is it starting to click? All the boxes? If a child of 6 years of age does tayammum, meaning does tayammum with dirt for ghusl, to remove the major state of hadith, has he removed it? Why? Because this age of discernment has to be minimum 7 years of age. You see it's all clicking now? Is it clicking or not? I want it to click. Yeah.
Can you do ghusl with dirt?
You don't do ghusl with it, but tayammum acts as a replacement for dirt. We'll get to that inshallah. Tayammum can act as a replacement for ghusl. We'll get to that inshallah, don't worry. Okay? So, if a Muslim uses water to remove the minor state of hadith with wudu, but he didn't make an intention, is his wudu valid? Why not? because this condition is missing. All right. So you see how you have to connect all four to get to a result. Question? There you go.
The intention for wudu or ghusl, well, I guess wudu specifically, isn't it kind of like understood that if you were to do wudu, if you were trying to do wudu for everything, if you were intending to do wudu to have a state of purification for salah or whatever else you want to do?
We'll get to that. But don't be Hanafi. I'm just joking. This is actually a point of difference between the Hanafi madhab and the Jumhur, majority of scholars. Okay? And just as a benefit, the majority of scholars say that you need a specific intention to do wudu. That intention is that you're removing a state of hadith. What is that intention? We'll get to that intention, all right, in the next upcoming slides. All right? They say that there's a number of intentions you can make. All right? So there's detail over here. All right? The Hanafiya, may Allah have mercy on them, they have a good point. All right? They say that no one does this, no one washes his limbs, right? No one washes his face first and then his arms up to his elbows and then his feet after doing masha. No one does this. You only do this in this specific order because you're doing wudu. And the fact that you're doing wudu is an intention. So you don't need to make a specific intention. They have a point. But the Jumhur, they use a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ in which he said, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. They say, yes, you have a point, but we have nas. We have textual evidence. Right. Not that they ignored the textual evidence, the Hanafiyan, they know it also. Right? But they look at it from a more intellectual, rational perspective. This is where fiqh comes in. All right? This is where ikhtilafat comes in. But this is at a later stage. Is it clear? Do we have any issues with this slide? Okay. Next slide. Bismillah. Okay. Now we will talk about the types of water. Okay? Types of water. The scholars or the fuqaha, they divide water into three major types. Okay? And there's a difference on this too, but that's for a later stage, inshallah. The first is tahur, the second is tahir, and the third is najis. Just write these words down. Don't write the rulings on them because we'll get to all of this. Got it? The three major types of water. Clear? The first one is tahur. At-tahur, okay? This is the first type of water. All water that you can imagine on the face of the earth, scholars divide it into three categories. Okay? Tahur, first the definition. The definition of tahur water. Water that it is in its original state in which it was created. Colorless, odorless, and what was the last one? Tasteless. Colorless, odorless, and tasteless. These are three qualities of water. Color, taste, and smell. And water in its original state lacks all three of these qualities. In the sense it's colorless, tasteless, and odorless. Okay? Tahur water, write this point down, is the default type of water. Okay? It's the default. Whenever you think of water, the first thing should come to you is tahur. Meaning the default ruling of water, or default, sorry, no, I'm not getting to ruling yet. The default type of water is tahur. Clear? Do we need to take a break? You want to take a break? 5-minute break? Walk around, get a breather, come back. Hold on, I think, because I feel like people are tired. Let's take a 5-minute break, and we will come back and finish the types of water, and then we have one more slide to finish, which is utensils, and then we'll call it a day for fiqh. Okay? Okay, let's take a 5-minute break, inshallah. طيب. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء وعلى آله وصحبه من والاه. Quickly going back to the slide, I just want to share a masala or an issue with you that I accidentally skipped. I wasn't looking at my notes. The masala is, we mentioned that you can remove hadath with dirt or with water. And the way to remove hadath is to either do wudu or to do ghusl. Correct? Is that clear so far? My question is it permissible to remove hadath with anything besides dirt and water? For example, Coke, Sprite, juice, coffee. Huh? Very good. What about rose water? It's called water. Faqih, mashallah. Okay. You cannot, the scholars, so what we do is, when we discuss a masala, first we do something called tahrir mahall al-niza'. Alright? We define the point of difference and the point of agreement. So the point of agreement in this masala is all scholars say that you can use dirt or you can use water to remove hadath. This is the point of agreement amongst all scholars. This is called ijma' or consensus. Okay? The next point of consensus is that all scholars say you cannot use anything besides dirt and water to remove hadath. This is the point of agreement amongst all scholars. But there is one exception, and that is an-nabith. Okay? Some scholars say you can use nabith to do wudu with, if you do not have water. Okay? This is the only exception made from this consensus. And this is the opinion of Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, and this is the opinion of Ikrimah. What is nabith? Nabith is when you take raisins or when you take dates and you place them inside of water. When you place them inside of water, after a bit the water becomes, the effect of the dates and the raisins, they go inside of the water becomes sweet. Before the raisins and before the tamar or the dates, they ferment. It's before fermentation and after mixing. This is called an-nabith. And this is the only exception to the rule. So you cannot use Coke, asir, all these things, juices to do wudu with. Okay? And then there's a different issue, is allowed to drink nabith or not once you reach the point of fermentation. That's a different issue. Okay? Clear?
No, you're saying it's dates and water?
Yeah. If you were to take dates and you were to place them inside of a bowl of water, and the dates and the juice from the dates were to come inside of the water to mix, you were to just let it sit there for a bit. Okay? This is called an-nabith. Okay? That's one example. Another example is if we were to use raisins. What are raisins? What are raisins? Dried grapes. Dried grapes, right? If you were to use raisins, put them inside of water, and the same thing were to happen. Okay? That water is called nabith. Alright, that water is called nabith. Alright, according to Abu Hanifa and according to some other scholars, you can use this water to do wudu or ghusl with if you do not have regular water. Clear?
So if the date is going into water,
Yes.
then you have water.
No, if the date is going inside of if you put the dates inside of water and you just let the water sit there. Okay? And then the sweetness from the dates or the raisins, it mixes inside of the water. the water will become a little bit thicker. All right? That's, if you were to, then you were to take the dates out. That's called nabidh, that remaining water. Okay? Clear? Okay. Going back to the types of water. We mentioned that water is of three types. All water on the face of the earth is of three main categories. Either it's tahur, either it's tahir, or either it is najis. Okay? And we mentioned that tahur water, what is the definition of tahur water? Tasteless, very good. Colorless, tasteless. Al-ma'ul baqi ala asli khalqatihi, right? The water in its original state in which it was created. Okay? This is tahur water. Okay? And this is the default type of water that should come to your mind. Meaning that water is tahur unless proven otherwise. Okay? So it's like they say in the court system, you're innocent until you're proven guilty. So for water, water is tahur until proven otherwise. Clear? This is the default type of water. Okay? The ruling of this type of water is mentioned on the board. All right. You can remove it to use hadath and to remove khabath. Both of them. You can use this water to remove hadath, and you can use this water to remove khabath. And this type of water, as an example, includes many, many types of water. Water found in oceans, water found in lakes, water found in streams, water found in springs, water from glaciers that melt, all right? Water, rainwater. No matter what color it comes down in, it is considered tahur. Yeah.
Ocean water has a taste.
Okay. Same question? Okay. Very good. Ocean water has a taste. But the reason ocean water is considered tahur is because of a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, in which the Sahaba, they asked the Prophet ﷺ, they said to him, "Inna narkabul bahr." We travel by sea, O Messenger of Allah ﷺ. وَنَحْمِلْ مَعْنَا الْقَلِيلِ مِنَ الْمَاءِ. And we have a little bit of water with us. We can't carry a lot of water with us. Right? فَإِن تَوَضَّأْنَا بِهِ عَطِشْنَا. If we do wudu with this water, we will go thirsty. And if we go thirsty, we'll be forced to drink the ocean water. And since ocean water is salty, if anyone has ever tried drinking it, the more you drink, the more thirstier you become. Right? So the Prophet ﷺ, and then the narrator of the hadith, yes, أَفَنَتَوَضَّأُ مِنْ مَاءِ الْبَحْرِ. Should we do wudu with the ocean water? And the Prophet ﷺ said, هُوَ الطَّهُورُ مَاؤُهُ الْحِلُّ مَيْتَتُ. The ocean water is tahur. The ocean water, the word he uses tahur. The ocean water is tahur. Al-hillu maytatu. The dead animals found in the sea are permissible for you to consume, to eat. Okay? So this is the evidence the scholars say that yes, even though ocean water is salty, it has a bitter taste to it, right? It's still permissible because of the textual evidence found in this hadith. وَالْحِلُّ مَيْتَةٌ. This is another point of benefit, that dead animals found in the sea, you are not required to slaughter them. They are permissible for you to eat even if they're dead. Clear? Any questions?
Side question. Dead animals found in the sea.
No.
Dead sea animals.
Very good. I should say dead sea animals, because dead animals found in the sea could imply that that an animal was, a land animal died and it was thrown in the sea. This is not permissible. An animal that is from the sea and died within the sea. Right? Tahir, the second category of water. Tahir water. First, we'll go over the definition. Tahir water is of two types. The definition includes the types. Alright? So, let me erase this top part. At-Tahir its definition and types. Okay, they're together. The first type of tahir water, or the first definition, is tahur water you take. Okay, I'm going to explain the definition to you. You take tahur water and you mix in it a pure substance. And once you mix this pure substance inside of the water, one of the three qualities of water completely changes. Or there's a major change in it. Either the taste, or the smell, or the color. So for example, if you were to take soap, alright, and you were to put it inside of tahur water, and then the color or the taste, the color and the taste completely changed. Let's say the smell stayed the same. Right? When I say completely changed, it means a majority change. Alright? A major change. If there's a minor change, it doesn't affect it. If there's a major change, right, then it's called tahir. This is the first type. Water that changes due to a pure substance placed in it. Another example. If you were to take tahur water, put inside of it tea bags. Let the tea bags dissolve. And after a minute or two, it's completely changed in color and completely changed in taste. At this point, this water is tahur or tahir? It's tahir. Right? Because one of the three qualities completely changed. Clear? Any question?
What you just said was the second type?
This is the first type. First type of tahir water, which is the second type of water. Clear? Any questions? Okay. The second type of tahir water is water that has been used in removing hadath. For example, if I were to stand here and place a large saucepan or a large bucket underneath me, and someone were to give me, some water, I were to do wudu, and the water that drips off my limbs were collected in this saucepan. This water is tahir. This water is considered tahir. Okay? It's not considered tahur anymore. It's considered tahir. So these are the two types. What if you were to do ghusl? Different ruling or same ruling? Different ruling or same ruling? Same ruling. Very good. Same ruling. Ahsant. Right? Because we said here, used in removing hadath. So the person has to be in a state of hadath, and then he uses tahur water to remove this hadath, and then this water becomes tahir. If the person is simply renewing his wudu, does the leftover water become tahir or not? Does it become tahir? No, it doesn't. Because he's renewing his wudu. He's not removing hadath. There's a difference between the two. When you renew your wudu, you're already in a state of wudu. You're just doing wudu again. Right? When you're removing hadath, you're not in a state of wudu. So you're doing wudu the first time. Is the difference between the two scenarios clear? Sheikh, is the difference clear?
Yes, the one is used for removing hadath. It's used for removing hadath, and it's the water is not tahir anymore. If you already had the wudu, you're renewing the wudu, then it's not used for removing hadath per se, but rather just re-cleansing.
Very good. Khalas. The ruling of tahir water. The ruling of tahir water. You can use it for anything besides removing hadath and khabath. Meaning, it cannot remove hadath. You cannot use it to remove hadath. You cannot use it to remove khabath. But you can use it for any other purpose, such as eating, such as drinking, such as cooking, anything else.
I'm sorry, you can't use the water to make wudu?
No, that's not what we said. That's not what we said. You can't.
Oh, okay.
No, which you're talking about bottled water?
Yeah, like drinking water.
That's fine. You can use that.
You're
Yeah.
saying you can't use.
No, that's not what I said. Explain to him what I said. Someone explain to him what I said.
If you get water that is tahur, so any type of water, you can use it to do wudu. If you're already in a state of purity and you do wudu, then you cannot use that anymore to do hadath or khabath. So you can't do wudu from that same water again.
Somebody collected the water that you had to do.
Did you understand?
If I use water,
It's okay if you don't understand. We'll explain again. It's not. What he's saying.
I thought you said that you can't use heating water, drinking water.
No.
To make wudu.
No. I'm sorry if I wasn't clear, but this is not what I meant. Okay. So let me retract a little bit because I want you guys to understand. Water is of three types. It's tahur, tahir, and najis. Okay.
So I came in the middle of it.
That's fine. No problem. I'll go back a little bit. Water is of three major. All water on the earth is of three types. Either it's tahur, either it's tahir, or either it's najis. Tahur water is water in its original state in which it was created, in which Allah created it. It's tasteless, odorless, and what was the third one? Colorless. Tasteless, odorless, and colorless. Okay. Water for this type of water can be used can be used in doing wudu, can be used in doing ghusl. So water that you find in bottled water, you can use it for wudu and ghusl. Right? Once this water has been used in removing hadath, in doing wudu and ghusl, that is wajib, or that is used for removing hadath, you cannot use that water again for doing the same action. Okay? You understand? But you can use it for cooking. You can use it. You can like tahir water. I mentioned it, right? Tahir water can be used for other reasons, such as cooking, such as eating, such as drinking. All these things. Yes, what's this question?
So does this apply only to a person's body? Because what if you're cleaning your restroom or you're cleaning your kitchen or whatever? There's something impure there. So can you use like soap water, or can you use like those cleansing wipes, or you cannot use them? You have to use pure water to something else.
Very good. We haven't gone there yet, but that's a good question. So the scholars of the Hanbali madhab say that you can only use water, which is of tahur water. Okay, but there are other opinions in which you can use other types of water, soap water, and these things to remove khabath. This is what you're asking for, right? Khabath is actual impurities. Remember, all right? Hadath is different. So yes, there are opinions that you can use other water. But I didn't want to touch on that because that goes into a lot of contemporary issues I want to avoid right now, because the purpose of the class is different. The purpose of the class is not to answer a lot of contemporary issues, okay? Because then that will go into fatwa, all right? And I will have to end up leaving the basic concepts I'm trying to ingrain right now. Yeah.
one of the definitions of tahir is that water that changes due to pure substance placement. So how can the be used? If tahir water can't be used for wudu.
Certain hadith. All right?
What is Nabi originally used for?
Drinking. Yeah. Drinking. Consumption.
Clarify in one year, that the baby is your favorite, that is the one that had fermented. Yeah, you weren't able to mention it.
Khalas? Next thing. Is this tahir clear? Tahir clear? Okay. Any questions on tahir? Tayyib. Najis is the third type of water. And before I explain to you najis, I need to explain to you one or two concepts. Okay? The first concept is the concept of what the fuqaha call al-qullatan. This is a new word. Okay? Al-qullatan is a specific amount of water. Okay? Al-qullatan is a very specific amount of water that differs according to modern measurements, because in the past they had a different unit of measurement, right? But most scholars say, and this is the opinion of the madhab, that qullatan is equivalent to 51 gallons or 191 liters. This is qullatan. And where did this word come from? It came from a hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا بَلَغَ الْمَاءُ قُلَّتَيْن لَمْ يَحْمِلِ الْخَبَثِ. When water reaches qullatayn, qullatayn, if you studied Arabic, you know why it's qullatayn. Alright? لَمْ يَحْمِلِ الْخَبَثِ. It doesn't carry impurities in it. I'll explain the hadith inshallah. But what I'm trying to show you is where this word comes from. It comes from this hadith, meaning the statement of the Prophet ﷺ. Okay? And qullatan, according to modern measurements, is 51 gallons or it's 191 liters. Okay? So if you were to take the milk bottles that we have, which is 1 gallon, right? Roughly, 51 of those is qullatan. It's a large amount of water. It's not a small amount of water. And as a side benefit, as a point of benefit, according to Hanafi madhab, qullatan differs. They don't define it necessarily by a specific amount. They say that if you were to have a large pool of water, all right, or something that you could move, and you were to move one side of it, and the ripples would not reach the other side, this is when we know water has reached qullatan. All right, so their definition of qullatan differs. Okay? Water that has reached this amount or more than it is called kathir, a lot. And water that is below this amount, it is called qaleel, little. Okay? These are two words that you just need to know, because when I explain najis to you, these words will be important. Water that has reached qullatan or more than qullatan, 51 gallons or more, is called kathir in Arabic, which is in English you translate it as a lot. And water that is less than qullatayn, all right, less than 51 gallons, is called qaleel or little. Okay? Is this concept clear? Taib. This is the first concept, or the first muqaddimah, or preliminary piece of information I have to give you before you understand najis. The second is najis. What is najis? I explained this earlier. Impurity, very good. All right. Najis, okay? Impurities, I explained to you that they're defined by the Sharia, okay? And scholars' understanding of the Sharia. Impurities are of many types. This is what I want to tell you. I want to give you examples over here, okay? So for example, you have urine, you have feces, you have blood, you have vomit. What about sweat? Is sweat impure? It depends. All right. What else have I written? Predatory animals. Predatory animals, who can think of examples? A lion, a tiger, a fox, right? These are the animals. The sweat of these animals would be impure, all right? This is one of the fuqaha. And so sweat of human beings would not be impure, okay? Pig, dog, all these things. These are examples of najis. And I should tell you one more. Mayta. Mayta. Everyone knows what mayta is? Not necessarily. What is mayta? Anyone knows?
Did anyone?
Huh?
Did anyone? Did the dog in his own? Or was killed by?
Not necessarily.
Something like that.
Any animal which was not Islamically slaughtered and died without Islamic slaughter is mayta. Any animal that died without being Islamically slaughtered is mayta. Yes, the zabih if it was Islamically slaughtered, yes. Okay? So an animal that was gored to death, an animal that fell from a height and died because of that, an animal that was eaten because of a predator or killed because of a predator, predatory animal, an animal that was shot and a person did not say Bismillah on the bullet, right? Road kill, an animal that was slaughtered to an idol, an animal that was slaughtered to other than Allah. Okay? That is the first type of mayta. The second type of mayta is any animal that is impermissible to eat and dies. Okay? Any animal, that's the second type, write this down. Any animal that is impermissible to eat and dies, even if you were to slaughter it. Even if you were to Islamically slaughter. So for example, a pig, is it permissible to eat or not? No, it's not. So if you were to Islamically slaughter a pig, would it be halal to eat? No, it's still considered mayta. It's very important to make these distinctions. Okay? Clear? Mayta is of two types. Question?
Yeah. Why would it be najis?
That's a different reason.
Oh.
There's a different reason for that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, فَإِنَّهَا رِجْس. It's rijs. حُرِّمَتَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَةِ. Why did Allah make it haram on you? It's impermissible for you to consume mayta. Why is it impermissible? The scholars say the only reason is because it's najis. What other reason could there be? Right?
In this case, the mayta is for consumption purposes?
Mayta is, yes, mayta is for two things. All right. Number one, how do we define mayta? I'm telling, these are two ways to define mayta. Okay. Then mayta itself is najis. Okay. This will also become important in the next slide, when we talk about the chapter of utensils. Clear? Any questions? Okay. All of these things, they are considered najis. They are considered impure. Okay. طيب. Now let's get back to the types of water. There are two types of water we mentioned. Two types of najis, sorry. The first type is water that has reached water that is a lot and najis falls inside of it and it changes. Alright? Water that changes due to impurity. It's not written here, but the water that's being referred to is water that is a lot. Meaning water that has reached a level of qullatain and then some najis, one of these things, they fall inside of the water and then one of the properties of water changes. Okay? So for example, you have a pool. How many gallons are in a pool? Let's say, 200 gallons. Okay? Someone were to throw a dead animal inside of this pool. And the color of the water changes. It's najis, the water. Okay? This is the definition. Alright, this is the definition of najis. We'll get to the ruling in a bit. Okay? This is the definition of najis water. This definition of one type of najis water. Water that is a lot, has reached a level of qullatayn, something najis falls inside of it, and then one of the properties of water changes. The properties of water are either color, taste, or smell. What if one of the properties don't change?
None of the properties change.
Do we need another break?
No. You said what if one of the properties does not change? What if none of the properties change?
One of the properties don't. None of the properties change.
It depends on the meat.
Depends on what?
The animal.
No. It's tahur. Ahsant. Very good. You have a faqih amongst you. Right? What is the asl of water? What is the asl of water? Look on the PowerPoint. The default ruling of what is the default type of water? Tahur. And to remove from tahur, you need evidence. Your evidence is a change in one of the properties of water. Okay? So for example, you have a swimming pool, 2 dogs went and they drowned inside of the swimming pool. Okay? When they drowned, after they drowned, nothing from the water changes. The color is still the same, the taste is still the same, and the smell is still the same. Is this water tahur or is it najis or is it tahir? It's tahur. Right? Because the water originally was tahur. Had one of the properties changed, then it would have become najis. Right? Because najasa fell inside of it. Something impure fell inside of it. Clear? Any questions? The second type of water is water that touches impurity. And it is little. Okay? Now we're here little. Before we talked about a lot. Now we're talking about little. Water that simply touches impurity and it is little. It becomes najis even if it doesn't change. The opposite of a lot. Clear? So for example, if I have a gallon of water and a drop of urine falls inside of this water, is this water tahur, tahir or najis? Najis. Because why? Explain to me. It is little and najasa touched it. Okay? So when it's a lot, it can only become najis if it changes. One of the 3 qualities changes. If it's little, it becomes najis immediately as it touches water. As it touches najasa. Okay? Now, another question. What if it's a little and some blood falls inside of the water? You have a gallon of water, some blood falls inside of it, and the water turns red. Is it najis or is it tahur or tahir? Najis. And for this scenario, you need to remember it's najis bi ijma, by scholars of all scholars. There are 2 scenarios you have ijma here. If you have water that is a little and changes, and if you have water that's a lot and changes. Okay? Let me write these scenarios out for you. Can I erase this? Erase it? So we have 4 scenarios here. Let's look at it as a spectrum. Okay? 4 scenarios. First scenario, little and changes. Last scenario, huh?
What are you asking?
No. Last scenario, a lot and changes. Second scenario, By the way, don't feel upset if you don't understand this the first time. Even though the scholars, they talk about the types of water in the beginning of the books of fiqh, it is one of the most difficult concepts in fiqh. It's one of the most difficult concepts because we haven't even gotten into the hadith pertaining to this. We're still trying to understand the concepts. Right? And there's so much ikhtilaf, there's so much difference of opinions. The second is little and no change. And the third is a lot and no change. 4 scenarios you have. Okay? This scenario and this scenario. Consensus of all scholars. Consensus. What is the consensus? That they are najis. There's consensus of all scholars that these 2 scenarios, the water in these 2 scenarios is najis. As for the water in these 2 scenarios, there's difference. And what did we say in our slides? What is little and no change? Is it najis, tahur or tahir? Najis. Very good. A lot and no change? Najis, tahur or tahir? Tahur. Very good. Alright, so for us, this is najis and this is tahur. This is najis and this is najis. واضح? Clear? Why is it important? Why is this important? Because we deal with these things daily. Right? Let me just give you an example. If you have sometimes when a person goes to the restroom, right, and the toilet bowl, for example, he urinates in, all right, according to what we have learned, right, that water is less than qullatayn, and it becomes najis as soon as the urine touches that water. So if you were to flush it and the water were to splash back on your body, what's the problem now? You have najas on you. You need to clean yourself too. Right? Practical applications. Right? But you have to learn the concepts first. Okay? Khalas? Erase this? Clear? Does anyone have any questions? Tayyib. Last thing dealing with water is number 2, ruling. The ruling of najis water. It cannot be used at all. You cannot use it to remove hadath. You cannot use it to remove khabath. Nor can you use it for any other purpose, such as eating or drinking or cooking, any of these things. Clear? And inshallah with this we will end, and next time we will talk about utensils. But before we end, we're going to have a quick quiz. See, test your understanding. Yes. If yes, inshallah. If the water of the swimming pool hasn't changed because of najasa, yes, you can. Okay.
I have a question also.
Yes.
And I don't know if we could later, this will be touched on or if it's too detailed, but sometimes when we go to places and the water in the sink is slightly white because of calcium or something.
That's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine. Yes, tahur. These are all talked about in the books of fiqh, right? Exceptions. Sometimes when I was in Saudi, after like a sandstorm or something, the water that comes out of the faucet is a little reddish in color, and sometimes sand comes out of it too. Right? That water is considered tahur. It's considered fine. Khalas, let's have this quick quiz, and with that we will end, inshallah. I'd request participation from all of you. This, I already explained this to you. Qullatan. Okay? Quick quiz. Clarify the type of water in the following scenarios. Rainwater. Tahur, tahir, or najis. Just say it out loud. Tahur. Ahsantum. Very good. There's a mistake in here. In one of the slides, I'll tell you when we get to the mistake. Water found in rivers or lakes. Tahur. Can we do wudu with this water? Yes. Very good. Water used in performing ghusl. Who said tahur? Tahir. Who said najis? Why is it najis?
Because it's not used for removing the najis.
There's-
If it's used for removing the najis, then it's najis.
Very good, but there's no najasa here. It says used in performing ghusl only. Person could have najasa and he could not have najasa. Right? And the default is that we'll get to this in the future, but in the madhab, semen is not considered najis. Okay? So that's important to consider for the future. But this water is considered tahir. Okay? It was used in removing hadath, you cannot use it again. Okay? Question?
If someone does ghusl to remove mutanajjis from their body, is that water having the same ruling?
You don't do ghusl to remove mutanajjis. Ghusl removes hadath. Mutanajjis is for khabath. This is why I went over those differences earlier. Remember, ghusl is something that removes a state, and that state is a spiritual state, hadath, right? Something mutanajjis deals with what? Khabath. Hadath and khabath, the difference is, hadath is a state and khabath is a physical impurity. Right? This is the mistake. This should be tahir. Okay, I told you there was a mistake. This is a mistake here. They had 150 gallons of water in which a dead sheep was thrown and the water smell changed. Najis. Bi-ijma'. Bi-ijma'. 4 scenarios. Look at the far right. It changed. Huh? 150 gallons in which 2 dogs drowned but the water didn't change. Tahur. Very good. Tahur. Okay, which scenario? 3. Ahsantum. Tea bags were placed in cold water and the water's taste, smell, and color did not change. Tahur. Very good. Faqih. MashaAllah. Which scenario? 2. No.
This is from
Oh, sorry, this is outside of najis. Yes, you're right. It's outside of najis. Tayyib. Tahur. 1 gallon of water in which 1 drop of urine fell and the water's color changed. Najis. Which scenario? 1? Very good. By ijma', by scholars. Right? Ibn Qudama rahimahullah, he says something very powerful. Ibn Qudama, he was a scholar from Damascus, as a quick break. He wrote 4 books. Okay? It was a series of fiqh. Umdat al-Fiqh, al-Muqni', al-Kafi, and al-Mughni. 4 books. It was a series to develop a person from a layman in the science of fiqh to a scholar. And in his final book, he says, regarding the consensus of all scholars, اختلاف العلماء رحمة واسعة واتفاقهم حجة قاطعة. He says that the difference of scholars is a wide mercy for this ummah. Because you're not obliged necessarily to follow one scholar. You can take the opinion of a different scholar. Okay? So it's a mercy for you. Imagine if all of the scholars in all of fiqh, they only had one ruling for every masala. It'd be difficult for the ummah. But then at the opposite side, he said, وَاتِّفَاقُهُمْ حُجَّةٌ قَاطِعَةٌ. When they agree on a matter, then it is a binding evidence. We can't swerve right and left from it. Okay?
I have a question. Like, let's say we are in a situation when we don't have water, but we need to do wudu, and we have, let's say, iced tea or something that has changed color, but it is a tahur. So we can use that water to do wudu or wash najasat or something? Or not?
Based on what we have learned, no. You would do tayammum at that point.
Okay, so that's
Okay.
not,
At that point, based on what we have learned, right, you would do tayammum. But there are other scholars who might give a different opinion. Okay? So this was najis. Tayyib. 1 gallon of water in which 1 drop of urine fell and the water's color, smell and taste did not change. Najis? It's najis. Well, on what we learned. Don't go into differences. Alright? What we learned so far only is najis, right? Very good. Water in a lake that had become extremely hot due to the summer heat. Tahur. The heat doesn't have an effect? Very good, it doesn't. Soap was placed in 1 gallon of water, and the taste and color of the water changed due to the soap. The person then performed wudu with this water. Is his wudu valid? Yes. Why or why not? Yes? Who said yes? What is your evidence?
Why is the soap najis? Or why is it impure?
Explain to him.
Because once you put something that is pure into the water, but if the water does change, it becomes tahir.
Very good. Alright, so the water is tahir or tahur? Tahir. Very good. I think I have 1 or 2 more questions. His wudu is not valid. Right? While performing wudu, Ahmed placed a large bucket under him so the water that drips off his limbs would fall in the bucket. Afterwards, he gave the bucket to his younger brother Hamid and told him to perform wudu with the water in the bucket. Hamid did so and then led his brother Ahmed in Dhuhr prayer in congregation. Is their prayer valid? It depends?
If he was renewing his wudu or if he was making wudu after a saying.
MashaAllah. This is fiqh. Alright? This is fiqh. And this is how a scholar answers the question. He doesn't just say yes or no. Right? He will do tafseel. He will ask the person. Okay? Were you renewing your wudu? Or were you doing wudu from hadith? Okay? But in this scenario, I assumed that he was doing wudu from hadith. Okay, this is why I wrote, and you all answered correctly, no. So, Zayd and Fatima took their 8-year-old son Shakir to the beach on a Saturday afternoon. While at the beach, the time of Asr started, so Zayd took Shakir and both of them performed wudu with the ocean water. While performing wudu, Shakir complained that the water was extremely bitter and salty. They completed their wudu. Zayd led his family in prayer and they left for home after praying Asr. What type of water did the father and son perform wudu with, and is their prayer valid?
Yes.
Their prayer is valid?
Yes.
Yes. What type of water did they perform wudu with? Tahur. What is the dalil? There was a hadith. Yes. Khalas. And that. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. With that we end, inshallah. Next week we will go over the chapter of utensils and wudu and other chapters also. Okay? وجزاك مثل بارك الله فيكم. We still have tafseer if you want to. Let's take like a 5-6 minute break, inshallah, and then we can do some tafseer.
That's okay, I got one.
Huh?
There's a difference in